Last time on Luckyfish, we arrived on St Helena Island, went on a tour with Tony, discovered the new airport has some issues, and Tuya caught her first fish. Since our arrival on St Helena, I had been harbouring a secret from the girls. The first proper sea trial of our boat had resulted in a crack about 1 metre long appearing in our starboard hull. I was unsure how serious this was, so in the interests of crew morale, I kept it to myself. One thing was for sure, we couldn't set off until it was repaired. One day, we heard that the Hawaiian sailing canoe, Hokulea, would be visiting on her round-the-world trip.
This is double hull Hokulea, which left base at
She would become another in a long list of famous visitors to the island. Sir Francis Drake visited in 1580, at the end of his world circumnavigation. Edmund Halley, William Dampier, Captain Cook, Captain Bligh, Charles Darwin, and two great mentors of modern-day sailors, Joshua Slocum and Bernard Moitessier. But perhaps St Helena's most famous visitor was in fact a prisoner, Napoleon Bonaparte. No trip to St Helena would be complete without a visit to Longwood House, Napoleon's place of exile following his defeat by Wellington at Waterloo in 1815. Napoleon is one of history's great generals. By the age of just 26, he commanded the entire French army. Wellington once said of him, "His presence on the field made the difference of 40,000 men." He was also an egalitarian. The Napoleonic Wars enshrined in law the principles of the French Revolution: liberty, equality, and fraternity. He put an end to the aristocracy in all the countries he conquered. But power went to his head, and he crowned himself emperor, a status that had been unknown for 1,000 years. He laid Britain under siege, blockading all supplies like a modern-day embargo. Today's Brexiteers can take heart. The blockade failed, as Britain could manufacture its goods cheaper than Europe, and Europe ended up suffering more. Napoleon surrendered to the British shortly after Waterloo and was sent immediately to this place of isolation, where he died in 1821. Napoleon's jailer, Hudson Lowe, governor of the island, lived at Plantation House, where we visited next. Here we met Jonathan, one of the oldest living creatures in the world. Jonathan is thought to have been born at the latest in 1832, making him 184 years old today. He arrived on the island as a gift from the Seychelles when he was just 50 years old. Plantation House is so named due to the gardens which formerly grew yams to feed the slaves on the island. Today, the sight of potatoes growing next to bananas shows the climate is about as perfect as any gardener could wish for. What's for lunch, honey?
Oh, fish and special fried rice, tuna.
Tuna. Yum. And what do you think of it, Tuya? Nice. Oh, good.
Delicious.
And
Yummy.
there's our neighbours from Canadian Yacht. They've just been out snorkeling a wreck. And we've got our trusty country and western music station, Yo, of all places. St Helena is a country and western stronghold, sadly. Tony kindly invited us to a barbecue so we could meet his wife Angela and enjoy some island hospitality. Oh, what are you talking about sunglasses? Waiting to eat? Hungry? Let's try a St Helena mango. Many ways of opening a mango, but let's try this one. She's a little baby mango, but I bet it makes up for taste what it lacks in size. Let's see. Smells nice. Not too fibrous.
Nice.
That's quite a treat. Sweet.
Yeah, they are.
That's about the limits that you could grow a mango, I imagine. It's this
They
latitude right here.
go really big here.
So, Tony and Angela, thank you for your great hospitality. Beautiful. What a treat.
It looks more dangerous than what it is. Yeah, it's quite safe.
The main street of Jamestown is described as one of the best examples of unspoilt Georgian architecture anywhere in the world. One fine example of this is the Consulate Hotel, where we stayed for 3 wonderful days. The consulate is renowned for its interesting characters, great history, and terrific food, and it didn't disappoint.
Snoring. Enjoying this cover. Korea's Facebooking.
Refreshed after our time on shore, I noticed this photograph. It was a reminder to make sure Luckyfish was fully prepared before we set off on our next leg. We returned to the boat to begin preparations. In our rush to leave Namibia, a few jobs had been put off until we had more time. Zaya reinforced the forestay bridle holes in the trampoline. And Tuya sewed the sail batten pockets closed. I still hadn't mentioned the crack in the hull to the girls. While they were busy on these jobs, I mixed some glue and set about fixing this first. the hull was glass over ply, it seemed that the crack must just be cosmetic. It would be another 3 months before I confirmed this with the builder. The hull-to-beam lashing issue that emerged on our way across from Namibia needed fixing too. We decided to try and solve this by retightening the lashings and installing 4 wooden retaining blocks as a second line of defence. We had all the tools and materials on board, so I shaped 4 blocks out of hardwood and glued them to the beams. One problem remained. How would we tighten the lashings so they wouldn't work loose? At that moment, a chance encounter happened. We'd been aware that Hokulea had been following us since leaving Africa. And here she was, arriving on St Helena. The girls were very interested in this boat, full of bronzed men, some wearing just loincloths.
Raindrops, they hamper my vision, falling down a cutting incision in my mind. While we said we have time, blow my honey, shout jubilation, carry us down to our destination. Go wiki wiki on Keala Tahiti.
Following an invitation to come aboard, we met Captain Bruce Blankenfeld and navigator Kaleo Wong. It wasn't long before we got talking about lashings.
The hull and it comes back in and over. So each one, we have 4, yeah? We have 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Of all the yachts cruising the oceans today, it's pretty much only a handful of Polynesian canoes like Hokulea and the Wareham-designed catamarans like Luckyfish that use rope to hold them together.
Like a lot of that, if you look around, there's probably about 3 or 4 different lashing patterns.
Right.
But that was all something that, you know, they've preserved for like just centuries. And that's what we learned from my Canadian teacher.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
It's invaluable, eh? I mean, that knowledge, without that one fellow hanging on to that knowledge, you know, just would
Well, you know, he was one of the last core of navigators.
Yes.
And there were others, but nobody would teach.
Is that right?
He was the only one that would teach because it's a cultural thing, you know. Over all the millennia, they only taught these skills to their own people, their own families, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They never taught it to outsiders, and they really looked at us as outsiders. But he looked at us as family. You know. He looked at us as a people that he understood that once had this knowledge, and it's obvious that they had this knowledge as part of their history and their culture, but it was, they went to sleep and it was lost. And at the same time, you know, that we're trying to relearn it, he's recognized in his people that they weren't learning it. So it was going down that same path that
Right, so he knew that,
that
there was really only one hope, and was potentially you guys.
And that's what, and then, you know, when we went to visit him in 2007, that's exactly what he said. He goes, you know, I know one thing for my people, that if they lose this knowledge, they have someplace they can go to learn. 7, 8, 11, 12. There's 12 on this one and 10 on this one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. There's 10 on this one and 12 on the outside.
Right, yes.
And that's where the strength is. It's in the different plies.
So that's quarter inch.
Yeah.
3-ply polyester, or Dacron as you call it. Yeah.
And we've always used that.
Right.
In 170,000 miles that we've sailed, and none of it has never failed. It's awesome.
Well, we're doing ours about every 700 miles at the moment.
Oh yeah?
And this boat's been going since 1970 odd, yeah? Is that what I read, or have I misread that?
75 it was built.
75, yeah, okay, yeah.
And we just rebuilt it again. I mean, we've relashed her, so she was launched in 75.
And how long have you been involved in the voyaging society?
You know, I've been sailing with this canoe since 1977.
You've been with this canoe just about as long as the captain of the St Helena, the mail ship.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I think he's been there since it was launched 25 years ago.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, next year I'll be like 40 years with this vessel.
That's amazing.
Hokulea, star of gladness, you're the happy star. Hokulea, star of gladness, you're the happy star. Hokulea, star of gladness, happy star. Hokulea, star of gladness. Sorry, General Brother Bui Kalama, and Hokulea made his first daily voyage back to Tapu Tapu Hotel, South Pacific. Smoking backtrack to action. Star Gladness. Soup!
Next time on Lucky Fish, we learn how to tie lashings Hokulea style. Toya's wardrobe gets a makeover. The Ark yachts arrive. And we leave St Helena.